Chapter 4. As the sun disappeared behind the hills of Malibu, the bitterness of the evening still burned through the air between the two elders. Perhaps Mr. Kayasu was right, everything did seem fabricated. But how could he openly oppose the chairman's judgment? My daughter cannot invent such stories. She has never done so before. Besides, she is far too young for that, Father declared, standing firmly before Mr. Kayasu, his arms folded as though shielding the ruthlessness my own eyes struggled to hide. I stood behind him, almost forcing fresh tears whenever Kamada's gaze found mine from across the compound. He was there too, standing helplessly beneath the weight of justice that Father seemed unwilling to grant him. Mr. Kayasu stepped back as Father moved closer. At that age, I believed Father possessed the authority to drive any man out of the village if he wished. Let me make myself clear, Father continued, his voice dropping into an even heavier tone. My daughter cannot lie about such things, and for what your son has repeatedly done to her, he must answer before the village committee. Mr. Kayasu stared quietly at Father's beard. Back then, I did not understand that age alone did not always bring wisdom. Sometimes it only deepened the taste of corruption. Kuti stood nearby too, the so-called eyewitness. His faded shorts and slightly torn shirt made him look harmless enough, yet somehow important within the drama unfolding before us. For a moment, I imagined how satisfying it would feel to stand beside him openly, united in what we had created. But for now, the scene demanded distance between us. The longer the argument continued, the darker the sky became. Perhaps that was when Father finally remembered what truly mattered. I still had not brought paraffin home. Yet Mr. Kayasu continued dragging the matter further. Well then, Father said at last, lifting his chin with authority, as chairman of this village, I postpone this matter until tomorrow's meeting. Kamada will confess everything before the committee. With that, I quietly slipped back into the house, secretly waving at Kuti as he began leaving our compound. Inside, Mother and Mado were preparing supper. Mado's help rarely extended beyond standing near Mother while she cooked from the outside kitchen. Soon afterward, Father left for the village center, most likely to buy paraffin from Mr. Katamba on that gloomy evening. The moment I entered the house, Mother called me quietly toward the outside kitchen, careful not to let her voice travel toward the nearby Malibu forest, the forest of lost goats. That forest carried countless stories. Before sleep, Mother often frightened us with tales of goats disappearing into its darkness, never to return. Perhaps that was why she always lowered her voice whenever night settled over the village. But tonight, the forest was not what troubled her. Something else lingered behind her eyes. The fire beneath the cooking stones crackled softly, its light flickering against the saucepan balanced above it. In that wavering glow, Mother's face seemed almost consumed by the same heat touching the food. She glanced back toward the house before turning to me again, the darkness around us sharpening the seriousness in her expression. Perhaps she knew I had never truly feared darkness. Even as a child, I had never cried during blackouts. Maybe she believed there was something different about me, something stronger than what she had seen in my older sisters, who were now long gone, most likely married into distant homes. Mado, only a few months older than me, stood silently at the kitchen doorway. Even beneath the dim light, his face carried that same stubborn seriousness boys in the village learned far too early. Perhaps whatever Mother wished to ask me did not concern him deeply, yet his presence there felt protective, as though Father had already begun shaping him into the kind of man expected to guard a family at all costs. Most boys in the village were raised that way. Protection first, questions later. I want you to be honest with me, Namu, Mother said softly. Did you truly tell the truth today, or did you invent those stories about Kamada the way you always claim he teases you? Though her voice remained calm, the question carried the heavy weight of suspicion. I lowered my eyes without answering. Then I glanced toward Mado, but he quickly spoke before I could gather myself. Tell the truth, he said firmly. I do not believe Kamada would do such a thing, even if he sometimes mocks you about your lonely games with Kuti. His words sank painfully into me, but I buried the feeling before Mother noticed too much. Slowly, I turned back toward her, my mouth slightly open, still struggling to protect the secret growing heavier inside me. I swallowed hard, tasting the bitterness of the lie forming behind my teeth. But before I could speak, a loud cry suddenly erupted from outside the compound. All of us rushed from the kitchen at once. As always, Maddo moved ahead first to see who had arrived. Then I saw him, Cootie. He stood in the middle of the compound, sobbing uncontrollably. For a moment, confusion swallowed every thought in my mind. What had happened to him? It is all my fault, Cootie cried. Even then, a small part of me still hoped this was merely another drama he had invented. But the next words he spoke changed the taste of the night forever, so bitter that none of us could have swallowed it. The chairman has been murdered, he said.